Very good evening, friends. Meeting again the session of Stuart Close philosophy, and we are discussing the greatest chapter from the Stuart Close philosophy, that is the General Pathology of Homoeopathy. It is a big chapter where he tried to explain the concepts of homeopathy in relation with the pathology and the differentiation between the what is modern pathology and what is the homeopathic pathology. Difference is that modern pathology considers the material pathology, the macro things, where the things are visible to naked or eye or microscopes. But when you think it from the homeopathic perspective, these are nothing but the end results of the pathology which is prior to it. It is in the dynamic form. It is at the level of chronic miasms. And that's what Hahnemann have explained, that they are caused because of basically the four important causes. Four important varieties. First variety of chronic diseases is due to the iatrogenic cause or due to the either because of the exciting causes. Second variety, which he has explained, is a venereal variety where syphilitic miasm. The third variety, the psychotic miasm, and fourth one, non-venereal, that is psoriatic. Then he has explained about the relationship of homeopathy with bacteriology, and Hahnemann labels to be a father of bacteriology because 50 years prior to the modern science, he has tried to explain the concept of Vibrio cholerae as well as the rest of the organisms. Only thing is that he has given the name of acute miasm instead of specific name. He was not having his own microscope, and still he was able to reach to the same thing. Thereafter, Close has tried to explain the concepts in the pathology. The doctrine of latency, also explained by Hahnemann very early. The concept of suppression, the skin eruption suppressed and leads to new internal pathology, is nothing but the metastasis of the disease from the less important organ to the more important organ. Modern science accepted it in the thromboembolism first and followed by the cancer. The third important thing, that concept of metastasis, the latency he has mentioned, and in the concept of latency also, Hahnemann said that unless and until the collateral causes works, this prima causa morbis never produces a disease. Earlier it was not digested by modern science, but now they are accepting all those things, and they says that there is such a period prior to the disease, unless and until these secondary causes or collateral causes works, this never causes a disease, and that was also accepted by the modern. Then Hahnemann explained about this correlation, the toxicological theory of disease, and that is also one of the important entity which is explained by Hahnemann over there. There is always a core reaction of the internal environment to the external environment. What's this? The internal environment reacts to the external things very fast. The microorganisms tries to come over there. Human reacts to it. And these human reactions are always the things which produces a specific disorder. All those organisms, whenever enters in your body, never causes a disease immediately. Prior to it, there is definitely a dynamic influence. The vital force is already deranged. Then and then the reaction develops. So it is not directly a microorganism will going to cause a disease. Tubercular bacilla remains in your body for years together. Unless and until that collateral causes, that is the constitution, the predisposition, the heredity, and the fourth thing, that is the environment of the patient. If they are poor, then and then they causes a disease. So it means that the disease first, there should be a disease in all those collateral causes, and then disease has to enter in your body. But whenever it enters, it used to produce its toxins, and those toxins always produces a disorder. You try to kill the organisms, bacteria, viruses by any means. It never works because the toxins which are released because of those bacteria, because of those viruses, are responsible to produce a signs and symptoms. And that's why many times, even though you are killing the tubercular bacilli with the help of anti-tubercular treatment, the patient never gets cured. The recurrence happens many times. You are not able to control the epidemics of tuberculosis till today, and it is going on because you are concentrating on the not on the secondary causes or collateral causes, but you are concentrating on prima causa morbis. And that's what he wants to explain in this specific part. We have finished up with paragraph of it is not sufficient to say. That paragraph we have finished. Let us go ahead with the next. All drugs act by virtue of their specific toxic properties. Yes, every remedy which has the capacity to alter the human state of health at the level of sensation and function is called as a drug substance. So, there is definitely a certain toxic effect property because of which it affects the healthy human being, and then only we label that it has a medicinal property. All bacterial diseases are primary intoxications or toxemia. So whatever may be the bacterial disease, it is the bacteria which is not causing the disease. Bacteria, because of which the toxins gets released, those toxins are the causes of diseases. Pathologists agree that all pathogenic organisms, microorganisms, produce their effects in the living body by means of specific poisons which they secrete while living or generate after death. See, this is very important thing which he explains. The pathologists have also agreed with the thing that pathogenic microorganisms, whenever they are inside your body, they secrete certain specific toxins. And those are responsible to produce disorder. They are responsible to produce signs and symptoms, and even they are present inside the human being, where even though when man is live, they are secreting certain secretions, and when man is died, also they generate the secretion. Those secretions are nothing but the toxins. These toxins are responsible to produce a further reaction. Diseases arising from physical injury or mechanical violence are toxemias resulting from the chemical changes in the injured tissue brought about by mechanical interference with circulation and innervations through the inhibition of normal functioning, which leads to the degenerative changes and the formation of toxins. So, if someone has an injury, after 3-4 days, he gets the fever. Why he gets fever? Sometimes there might be some hemorrhage inside the skin, petechial hemorrhage happens. And with that petechial hemorrhage, some bacteria grows, there is some toxins which develops, those toxins are responsible to produce a disorder. Even after the myocardial infarction, on third, fourth day, or sometimes on fifth day, the patient might get the fever. It is a part and parcel of toxemia which develops over there. So, these toxemias are the reasons behind all those symptoms. Localized circulatory stasis, imperfect oxygenation, and inhibitory influence of the traumatic shock upon the normal functions and secretions explain the chemicotoxic changes which occur under such conditions. So whenever trauma is there, these are the reasons because of which there happens to be a reaction or fever. So it is chemicotoxic effects which happens because of the trauma, and that is responsible to produce a toxemia, that is responsible to produce a chemical change inside the body. Disease arising from chemical agents, aside from direct physical injury or destruction of tissue, as by corrosive poisons, are poisonings of the organism. And everyone knows, if one consumes certain poisons materially, it used to affect the human state of health. It disturbs the human economy because they are in the primary action produces their effects on the body. This is resulting from mental or physical trauma occur as a result of toxic chemical and physical changes that takes place in the fluids and tissues of the body through the medium of nervous system, which reacts to the morbid impression of violent or long continued mental emotion in the same way that it reacts to any other dynamical influence. So, materially you can agree. If poison enters in your body, it will have its own effects on the body. But things are rather different when you think about dynamics. A simple example will take into consideration. If the patient, if the person is in sudden fright, you are sitting over there and all of a sudden a tiger comes. What is the reaction? Within fraction of second, you start getting the palpitation. Your heart rate is increased. Why it has developed? How it has developed? Nothing has happened. Even that tiger is at a certain distance from you, but still, immediately after that, the fright develops. The fright immediately produces the your suprarenal glands to secrete the adrenaline glands to secrete adrenaline and noradrenaline, which affects the your heart and increases the heart rate. Why this has developed and how it has developed? This is what is the effect which happens. This is chemicotoxic effect. Suddenly, there is a purpose. Either you have to fight, either you have to flight. Without increased heart rate, you cannot do both the things. And in order to do that, body has reacted in such a manner. So this is what is the dynamic influence. Everything affects your body, the inner chemical secretions. If you are too happy, it immediately secretes there a dopamine secretions are there inside your brain. See, these are the effects which happens because there is psychological correlation with the human brain, human system, nervous system, and it immediately reflects certain things. Many such things affect your body because certain specific enzymes, certain specific hormones, certain specific secretions which get secreted because of all those dynamic entities, and those are responsible to produce many times a disease. So this itself suggests that it is a reaction which develops because of toxins which are secreted inside. It might be a dynamic in origin. It should not always be that that toxin should go from mouth and then it works. It is not like that. So sudden fright, sudden anxiety, sudden stress can lead to you to produce such a dynamical disturbances ultimately at the physical level. If all diseases are the result of some form or degree of poisoning, then in last analysis, all curative treatment is antidotal treatment, and cure is accomplished by the use of agents which have power to antidote or neutralize the poison and remove their effects. If you say all the diseases are because of some poisons, if poison is entered in our body but materially, antidote is the treatment. It is so natural that if you consume organophosphorus poison in the material form, so you have to antidote. Then there is no question of giving homeopathic remedy. First important thing what you have to do is to antidote that. So this is too important. This is logical. But if it is not the directly a material poison entered in your body, it is because something dynamic affects your body and produces a disturbance. Then the reaction which develops, which cannot be treated with similar type of antidote. Here, antidote you have to develop with the help of proper homeopathic remedy. That also comes later. Physiologically, therapeutically, and chemically, neutralization is essentially an assimilation. So, if material poison is there, you have to neutralize and assimilate the thing. But if things are not physiological, not material, then question arises. Since all poisons act pathogenetically on the living organism primarily by virtue of their specific dynamical qualities, as distinguished from their physical and chemical qualities, it follows that law governing the action of antidotes, if there be such law, must be a dynamical law. The law of cure appears to be a form or phase of law of assimilation or reciprocal action, which is dependent upon law of attraction. See, now he is turning towards the thing where a dynamical reaction produces the toxins. A simple example, same example if we're going to take, patient who got sudden fright because of certain thing, and his heart rate is increased, and he's so frightened that he runs towards doctor. Doctor, please save me, please save me. I will going to die. I will going to get dead. Please do, please serve me. And he's in acute panic, and his heart rate is fast, full pulse is full bounding. It is the effect of something secreted in your body because of some sudden fright. See, the effect is on body. It is because of some toxin. Now you have to neutralize. Then you have to utilize the law of similars or nature's law of cure. So if you want to treat that, your remedy should work on the same plane. The first disorder is produced because of dynamic reaction, then your medicine should work at the same plane. And then you have to utilize the nature's law of cure. Then you have to produce an artificial disease in the similar manner which has the similar manifestations. Only the kind is different. So here, if you want to antidote that, there is only one way, that apply the law of similars, apply the medicines in the similar dynamic form, and that medicine which has similar manifestations to the patient's complaint, then it neutralizes, then it settles. Now, what is the nature's law? Nature's law is nothing but weaker dynamic affection is permanently extinguished in the living organism by a stronger one if latter, while differing in kind, is very similar to former in its manifestations. So, you have to produce similar type of manifestation with the help of a dynamic medicine, because original disease was dynamic. So, your remedy should be dynamic. And here, natural disease, which is developed because of the law of mutual action. Something happened in the dynamic form, body has reacted. Action and reactions are equal and opposite. That is the law of mutual action. Now we have to give a medicine which work again on the law of mutual action. So you give the stimulus of, for example, aconite to that patient. Aconite will not going to produce a primary action of aconite over there because you have given it in dynamic doses. So it is a reaction of the human body, human vital force against that medicine. So it is again action and reactions are equal and opposite. So the law of mutual action plays its role over in the formation of disease as well as in the cure part of the disease. At both levels, the nature's law of cure, at both levels, the law of mutual action works. Now, what he says, cure, in the strict sense of word, can only be accomplished by use of agents which have the power to neutralize poisons causing the disease and remove their effects. In other words, all true antidotes in the medical sense are physiological or dynamical antidotes which act specifically according to the physiological or dynamic law of assimilation. If material poison is consumed, it's true that you have to give material antidote, because it will going to produce a primary effects, primary action. And if it is going to produce primary action, then you have to antidote it and neutralize it. It's so simple. But if thing happen because of some dynamic influence and the person is diseased, producing certain symptomatology, then such type of antidote is not useful. Then there should be a dynamic antidote. That antidote is based upon law of similar. That antidote is nothing but the artificial medicinal disease caused because of medicine, which is very similar to the natural disease. And then that you can assimilate that condition and settle that condition. So there are two varieties of medicines. If it is material antidote. If it is dynamic, the dynamic antidote. If it is material, it is the antipathy which will going to work. But if it is dynamic, the homeopathy will going to work. And that's what he wants to explain over there. And then he says, regular medicine knows no such agents or laws and denies that they exist. From its point of view, physiological antidotes are merely remedies employed to combat symptoms or after effects and to neutralize the effects of poisons after absorption into the system. As their name implies, they do not act on the poison themselves chemically, mechanically, or otherwise. They are not, in this sense, the true antidotes. So, if you going to find it out, this material antidote or physiological antidote, many times question arises. If person has consumed organophosphorus poison and it has consumed and some amount of poison is got absorbed, something is there inside stomach that they have removed with the help of gastric lavage, then they start giving antidote. Sorry. If they give the antidote, if some material is present over there, it will going to get antidoted. But whatever is absorbed in the system, it never remains as it is. Body starts reacting to it. And then giving an antidote to that patient is not sufficient. Because that will not going to work. In the test tube, it's simple. If there is acid, you put alkali and you neutralize. It's inside the tissues, it's inside the test tube, it's so simple. But whenever the things gets absorbed from the stomach into the system, then giving the antidote is not of any use. Because it never remains in the same way. It gets changed. Once it starts getting absorbed over there, it gets changed. Then these antidotes never works. And that's why he says over there, these are not in strict sense the antidotes over there. So this is very important thing which he is explaining over there. And then lastly he says, upon this point hinges the whole controversy between homeopathy and allopathy. Homeopathy is based essentially on the law of attraction antidotes, which is found by observation, experiments, and clinical demonstration to the law of mutual action or attraction, expressing the equality and contrariety of action and reaction as manifested in living organism by similarity of symptoms and resulting in physiological or chemical assimilation and neutralization. So we used to know only the law of similars. We consider homeopathy is the system of medicine which is based upon law of similars. No, it is true that it is based upon law of similars, but it is not only the truth. Homeopathy is based upon all those natural laws. The law of mutual action always works. In the formation of disease, the law of mutual action works. In the treatment part, in the cure part also, the law of mutual action works. So, law of mutual action is there. Then second important thing, the law of attraction is there. Law of gravitation, law of attraction is there, and law of mutual action is there. Then law of contrariety is there. All those takes into consideration. We have to take into consideration. If it is a dynamic disorder, then definitely law of mutual action going to work with the help of your homeopathic remedy. Your remedy works in the similar manner. It is just a stimulus. It is not a remedy which will going to produce its primary effects over there. So if you are giving cophia to the patient, it is not the action of cophia directly, it is the reaction of the human's vital force or human to the cophia stimulus. So whatever remedy which you are going to prescribe for those patients is the reaction of the human being, not the action of the medicine. And that is very important thing which one has to understand. The antidote concept is rather different in homeopathy. It is on one side exactly opposite to the normal concept of antidote in the physiological or material form. So acid, if acid is there giving an alkali to neutralize that acid is the material antidote. But if it is not so, then it never works. If there is some toxin which gets secreted after dynamic effect of certain entity, then you cannot neutralize that specific thing. then you have to give a similimum which has capacity to alter the human state of health at the same plane and produce the same manifestation. If you give that, then the nature's law of cure works and patient is cured. This is what is the homeopathic antidoting. And allopathic antidoting or material antidoting is nothing but, in the material sense, if the organophosphorus is consumed, the palm is the antidote which is given, and that palm works as a physical antidote. But after effects of it never gets treated with the help of that palm or even atropine. And that's what he wants to explain over there. So these are things which he tried to explain the concept very clearly in order to understand that what is allopathic antidoting and what is homeopathic antidoting. So this, some part of it today we have finished. The next part is very important, where he starts explaining about the varieties of antidotes and how they are used in homeopathy and how they are there in the modern science. So we'll stop over here and we'll continue with it in the next lecture. So that's all for today. And today evening, we're going to learn another remedy from the inflammation, that is the Kali Miraticum. So today evening at 8 o'clock, be there to learn the Kali Miraticum. So thanks being there. We'll meet again tomorrow at the same time.